Love on WNOV 860 AM, 106.5 FM. I am Kweku Moutry.
Hey, and I'm Dr.Alisia Moutry.
Hey, sitting here with Ride Out and my brother B, the Q from Sigma Zeta Land. Hey, man, I feel good today. You know what? It's like we look around and we see like it's the most wonderful time of the year. And I think it's the most wonderful time of the year because when we talk about the holiday season, usually you talk about love. And I said, there's no greater weapon, there's no greater medicine than that of love. And if we take the hint from Johnny Gill or from the Temptations and just give a little love on Christmas Day, but treat every day like it's Christmas Day, man, what a better place that this could be. I'm feeling great.
I feel good. I feel your energy too.
You know what? And I think that's because, you know, we got our 2 Ps.
We got them.
And this is a beautiful thing. Our mom had to go someplace. So we was like, oh, we ain't talked to mom. She texted. She said, you got my permission to speak.
Technology.
So I said, mama know the rule. She sent the prayer inside. And so we just want to be able to say we got permission from the ancestors, from the elders. That's into the tradition of our ancestors. And you know what? Usually I dedicate the show to an ancestor whose spirit I want to do, but I'm gonna do something a little different today. I'm gonna do an elder in the community.
Okay.
Queen Mother Janetta Herrera.
Oh.
And the reason why I say her is for 3 reasons. One, just because I love her. But number 2, she's the one who gave me a lot of my sense of understanding of who I was. And if you're going to be a voice of the community, if you're going to be a voice that goes out to do it, how you make sure you have real knowledge, not just book knowledge, but to be able to put the truth to it. But what I love most about her is she's one of those quiet soldiers who just does the work. Every year she has a King Day holiday festival. And she gives away scholarships to the people. And a lot of time, this is money that come out of her pockets or her just like trying to fundraise, getting from different people. It's always over at Clybourne Benson's spot. So when we look at the historical Black Society, Wisconsin Historical Black Society, it's just something that fits us. It's like, this is for us, but then it's welcoming for everybody, though. And that's what I love about this station. You know, it's a Black owned, Black created, but the love that we give resonates to everybody.
I love that.
So you know what I'm saying?
I love that dedication.
I feel good today. And I think another reason why I feel good, sometimes, you know, you got special people on.
Yeah.
And that just gives you a different energy. And I think why I'm excited is, Jermaine Byron, remember a few weeks ago, we did a show. We had a whole bunch of brothers up in here. Yeah. We were talking about issues with men and what we go through and whatnot like that. And then the sisters.
Said, hold up, man.
Hey,
the ladies have something to say. We have something to talk about.
She was like Andre 3000 over. She said the South got something to say. And I said, you know what? And so I had 2 guests on before. And what I love about it is because they from coast to coast, from DC all the way to California, but then been all the way around and from a national, international standpoint. And I wanted to bring them back. So we ain't. Hey, Bob, can you? Oh, go ahead.
You got them on. Well, first I wanted to set the stage and talk about, you know, like we're getting ready to
make it right.
We're getting ready to have a real conversation, one that many of us need to have, but we always don't get an opportunity or give ourselves permission to actually have. And that's especially for Black women, longtime caregivers. We've worn this invisible S on our chest. That superwoman, that super mom, that super boss. Am I going down your lane yet? That super wife, right? That super everything badge. And so we've been strong for our families, our churches, our jobs, our communities, oftentimes without stopping just to say, guess what? Who's taking care of us? And so we have guests on now. Now, Dr. Kweku, I'm going to have you to introduce these lovely ladies that I'm seeing on the screen. Tell the community who's on the line.
Well, we got Dr. Angel Brutus and Dr. Natalie Ledger. And it's like, you know, why I love both of them is because whenever you work in our field, you know, so many times it's not a lot of people that look like you.
Yes.
So when you find people who look like you, who's got a sense of culture that resonates in a different sense, you find a closer bond with them where you can talk about things that even go outside of work. Sometimes you got an issue and you need somebody to be able to give you some advice, a sounding board or things of that nature. Sometimes it's just good to be able to talk and say hi where you can breathe without having to be on. So when I see them, it just reminds me of the beauty of our people, the inherent family and community. When we talk about village, this is my village right here. So like when I said I'm excited, that's why.
Oh, and you know what? I'm excited too. It's again an opportunity to be able to have the woman's voice at the table, right? And so, ladies, doctors, I just need you right away. I'm always that educator part. We talk about that S on the chest. I would love for each of you to just talk a little bit, like when we say that, what are we really talking about? You know, especially for Black women caregivers in our community. When we talk about that S on the chest, in your opinion, what does that really mean to you?
You know, earlier on, as a younger individual, I might have had a different answer than what I'm going to give now.
Mm.
And the first thought that comes to mind for me is pressure. Because when you think about pressure on your chest, you can't breathe, feel claustrophobic,
Yes.
feel like your back is up against the wall. There's like it's very restrictive in many ways. Yeah. Now, the younger version of me probably would have been like, like puff up, let's do this, we ready to go. And I'm not saying that that's not the case now as the older version, but there's something about the realities of life that comes with that, and recognizing that each of us have certain levels of capacity.
That's a really good point. I appreciate that. What about you?
I agree. I think, it's funny. Angel and I were always in sync about stuff. I was thinking about another P word, which is precision. Of feeling like things need to be so particular and precise, and that there's only one way to show up. And that to me is incredibly restrictive. When we think about S on our chest, we're thinking about a superhero, maybe somebody who can fly all over the place, but that's not what it feels like when the pressure's on. It doesn't feel like you're going much of anywhere.
Yeah, that's a good point. And that visualization you gave me with that cape on the chest, that's exactly what I was thinking about. Well, what's interesting when you think about the Marvel characters, they get an opportunity to take that Joker off, right? And then they can put it on. And then when they need to, they take it off. But a lot of times, especially as, again, caretakers and Black women, we don't ever really get an opportunity to take it off. Are you feeling me on that one?
Yeah, Dr. Moutry, it's so funny that you said that, because I tend to use I know that we talk about the hero's journey, but a lot of work that I do with a lot of high performers, specifically, I tend to support a lot of high performing Black women. And we talk a lot about the superhero's journey. Yeah. And that origin story. And how it comes along, where you kind of, unbeknownst to you, have like these superpowers. And then there comes a moment in time where you realize that those superpowers are a part of your DNA, whether it's by happenstance, whether it's inherited, whatever the case may be, right? And we just kind of go through that journey and what that looks like, because there are certain responses that we have to that. Some of us, we accept it with open arms, and some of us are completely shocked by it, scared by it, don't know what to do with it, don't want people to find out about it, right? And so we tend to shrink. And then somewhere along the way, there's like maybe one lowly soul that either stumbles across your superpower, or they by chance are brought into your fold because you trust them to be able to hold the weight of your story and recognizing what you have. And then y'all are kind of like keeping it a secret for a little bit, and then trying to figure out, well, how do I hone these powers that be? And then making a decision on if I'm going to use it for good or not. Right?
Right there. That's huge. Right there. You're the superhero or the villain. You're right. Wow.
Right. So, I can go down that path easy, but it's amazing what comes out of that in the work that I do with women when we put it in that lens, because it's frightening, but also very powerful.
Yeah. And speaking of that work, I know Dr. Kweku said that you've been on the show before, but Dr. Bruce, if you could just tell us again, where are you located? Like just your name, because some people may be new to the audience, right? So your name, what you do for a living, and then maybe one of your superpowers. What about that?
Oh my gosh. So yes, I am Angel Brutus, and I am located in Southern California. But I support people all over the world. And when I say all over the world, Dr. Kweku, literally all over the world, like across the pond if necessary. And I've been doing this for quite a while, right? And so I'm trained as a therapist, but also trained in sport and performance psychology. That's where my doctorate comes from. And it's been a whirlwind in terms of just supporting a number of different people across the spectrum, from the elite level to high school juniors, so it just depends. And I serve as chief executive officer of our consulting firm. And so Natalie and I, we work hand in hand with each other, supporting a lot of different businesses and organizations and practitioners who are trying to get into this field in this industry. So it's been phenomenal to see the growth and support of a number of different people.
Yes, synergistic solutions.
I love that.
That's it. I love
Say that name again. I love it.
Synergistic solutions.
Oh, I love that name. So what about a superpower before we move on to Dr. Legger? If you
I think
had
I think my superpower is seeing the potential in people, even when they don't see it in themselves.
That's an interesting one because that draws people to you right away because you can tell me, you can help me figure it out. I love that.
And I co-journey alongside them the entire way until they see it for themselves.
Love it. I love it. I love it. All right, Dr. Legger, your name, where are you located? What do you do for a living? And then what is your superpower?
Absolutely. So I'm Dr. Natalie Leger, currently based out of Washington, D.C., originally from New York. Always got to get the shout out, particularly after the Knicks win last night. We can't let that go. All right.
Her son works for the Spurs.
Yeah, I was like, oh, but okay. It was a good game.
I'm being professional without the Knicks gear on today. But yes, I'm a licensed sport and counseling psychologist. And so, trained as a psychologist, providing counseling to just as similar to what Angel was talking about, folks from, teens to all the way up to professional athletes and all the sort and other high performers, whether it's lawyers, doctors, everyone being able to support their mental health as well as having a specialty and to really help folks feel like they can optimize how they're showing up within the space. And just as Angel was mentioning, right, like so much within the work that we do is being able to breathe confidence within individuals to be their best selves. Yeah. And within the organizations that we work within, of being able to help folks see how their passions that led them into their work is actually what their superpower is and should be the thing that we're doubling down on. And so when I think about my superpower, similar to Angel's, but I think really being somebody who can breathe confidence into folks. One, because it's work that I've done for myself over the course of my life. But it's also something where even when I was a former Division I athlete, if you ever look up film on me, I'm the one who's running all over the place, acting real rowdy, because we're here to breathe confidence into people to know that they have all that they need. It's a matter of kind of just getting all the distractions and unnecessary pressures out of the way so that we can be ourselves and do what we need to do.
I love it. And it's Dr. Leger.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to make sure I got that right. Leger. I missed that, but I got it now. And I love actually to say that, Leger. Thank you so much. Hey, so again, we're talking about how it's so important and so often that women, not only women, but a lot of times women, especially African-American women, we feel the need to have this S on our chest. I want to go back to be like, if you had to say, where do you think this ideal, where did it come from of us always having to be strong, being the example, being unbreakable? Where do you think it comes from for us?
Yeah, it reminds me of the book that we're working on. Right. So HEAL, it's liberation-based applied sports psychology for women of African descent. And the entire premise of that book is to understand.
Say the title of that again.
Yeah. So it's HEAL, right? So it's honor, engage, affirm, learn. And it's liberation-based applied sports psychology for women of African descent. And there's a portion of the book that really speaks to my heart. It's a special project that I developed years ago, and we're still working on it because it's a passion project and we want to make sure that we do justice with it. And the thing that kept emerging for me as we were conceptualizing this project was this idea of resilience out of necessity. Resilience tends to be one of those popular terms that people tend to use as a rallying cry. For some of us, that is not a luxury, it's a necessity. And that's what I think about when you pose that question, is that resilience out of necessity.
Yeah, out of necessity.
We don't have a choice.
Because who else is going to do it, right?
Because who else is going to do it? It's survival.
I think, even as we go back as African Americans, meaning Americans of African descent who live here, who never really had full rights to the citizenship. You have it like in the sense of the term, theoretically, yes, but you always saw it. But I always thought that a lot of the burden back from our times of enslavement fell unfairly, disproportionately upon our women. And that was because the men could be broken, the men could be sold, they could be used in different ways, but it was the women who held everything together. I always say in a good family, the man is your spine, but the woman is the heart. Like without the heart, you can't live. With the spine, you can be paralyzed and it hurts, but you can go on. And I think when the women understood that responsibility, almost like you said, it was something that just happened and then it was passed on. You read things like post-traumatic slave syndrome by Dr. Joy DeGruy, and it just talks about a lot of the stuff that happened to our ancestors that just kind of went down from an epigenetic standpoint within our DNA. And we just continued to do those things, keeping things together at all costs, even to the woman herself.
Yeah, it's protective. It's protective.
Yeah.
I think about, the chess set, right? What's the strongest strongest piece on the chess?
You need that queen.
You gotta have a queen.
And she can do it all.
Gotta have a queen.
Yes. Yeah. So it's even represented within that. So I'm sitting here and I'm thinking there's some folks in the audience and even myself sometimes that you kind of started off, Dr. Brutus, by talking about sometimes, superheroes, they can take it off, they can put it on. What happens when you have these folks that are being this super person? They're not even sure that that's exactly what this is called or that's what they're trying to do. How do you determine whether or not that or me trying to be a superwoman? What would I notice? What would I see? What would I hear to let me know that, whoa, I'm trying to be a super person right now?
I think a big one is just kind of general fatigue. I think it's really important to just be able to take kind of a individual inventory of just how your body is feeling, right? If at the end of each and every day, it feels like I can't even take in anymore, right? Hearing people breathe near you sounds irritating. Things like that, right? If it's day after day where that's going on and now impacting relationships, feeling as though you're also noticing that anytime any problem arises, even if it's not even presented to you as an issue, you find yourself jumping in, right? Immediately going after it. Exactly. It's something to where it almost feels automatic. We don't even know that it's going on.
Natalie, can you follow up on that with just talking about high level depression? Because high functioning depression, like so many people, I think that's kind of like when I was thinking, I'm hearing you say it, break that down because this is so powerful what you're saying.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, this is extraordinarily common. And particularly because socially and culturally, it's so rewarding for folks to be the one that everyone relies on.
Yep. Come on.
To where in some instances, even unconsciously, we create environments in our workplace, relationships where folks are forced to depend on us. Just so that we can continue to reap the potential social and cultural benefits of being the leader, of being the one that everyone looks to when things are going haywire, right? And in certain moments, we may get a little dopamine hit. We may get a feeling of like, oh, this feels right. This feels like the thing that I want for myself. This feels like success. But over time, it starts to do less and less, feel less and less from it.
And actually aggravate you at some point.
Yeah.
I liked it at first.
When she said the breathing get on your nerve, I'm like, oh, I'd have had you breathing too hard.
Literally.
Everyone loves the person who gets stuff done, right? When you're in the workplace, your friend who's always there to pick you up from the airport. Everyone loves that person. You're always on time, getting stuff done. Everyone loves that person.
But also to that point, Natalie. Yeah, but also to that point, Natalie, it becomes tethered to our identity. So then when we don't perform in that manner, what does that say about our purpose or what our perceived purpose is, right? What does it say about our relevance to others? Then that invokes a fear of potentially being replaced, right? Because going back to the historical context, we've been tokenized.
Listen, I'm gonna have to pause because I can tell we
there's
got
a natural pause right there. I'm ready to go deep now.
We got to go into a commercial break. We got to pay some bills, but we are coming back. This is why I'm so glad that you created this conversation in this space, Natalie and Angel. We're gonna even take some calls on the other end coming in. And listen, Milwaukee, you're listening to Nyumba Upendo on WNOV 860 AM 106.5 FM. We'll be right back on the other side. Upendo Show, WNOV 860 AM 106.5 FM. You know, Alicia, I'm just like, when I hear this, I just get to sit back. I almost don't even want to ask questions. I just want to be like that fly on the wall. And we always cut off on the break when something going good. And Dr. Angel was just talking about how kind of like that high functioning depression looks like. But Angel, can you get into some of the ones for the people who are listening? Like you said, you know, this kind of becomes my identity and I lose it. But what are some ways, some other signs and symptoms that people might see and be like, damn, that's me. I didn't even think about it like that because this is just stuff that I do.
Yeah, so credit to Natalie on that because, you know, Natalie was the one that opened the gateway to talking about that high functioning depression stuff. But some of the typical signs and symptoms, even Natalie mentioned this before, right? So like when you start seeing that you are hyper irritable, just because somebody is breathing next to you, and I'm going to just raise my hand because I have been guilty of that. Bless my spouse, because there have been times where he has done nothing but just looked in my direction, and I'm like snapping off, like, "What are you looking at?"
I'm
He's
not
like,
saying nothing. I'm not saying
"I'm just
nothing.
adoring you," and it's like, "My bad. I'm so sorry. It's me. It's not you." Right? So it's that kind of stuff. It's the increased irritability. It's the cognitive stuff too, right? So the forgetfulness, not being able to like think clearly, and it's very subtle, right? And so if we're walking around with like a little bit of a cloudy brain, our decision making is off. We're indecisive when we're typically not. We might have different pains that's showing up in different places and spaces, but there's no rhyme or reason on why that pain is there. Definitely our sleep is disturbed. And I'm not talking about like that more global experience of like difficulty falling asleep. I'm talking about even when you've had a significant quantity of sleep hours and you still wake up tired. That's a sign. Right? A lot of people don't talk about that. People tend to think about difficulty falling asleep or difficulty staying asleep. No, if you are getting enough hours of sleep, but you're waking up still fatigued, that's an issue.
Well, I want to just add one to that, but that's an issue. You are absolutely right. I'm thinking about personally, just thinking about my mind's always racing. I'm thinking I was like my agenda, my list of to-dos, they never end. I feel like even like at night, sometimes not being able to sleep so well. Why is that? Because I can't turn that mind off because I've got this to do. I got that to do. I need to call this person. I need to write this letter for somebody. I need to do this. It just never ending. Right.
So, and Dr. Moutry, that too, but then also the other part of that is when you are walking around numb. So when things should activate you and they don't anymore. Right?
Good point.
Walking around numb is a thing. Yeah. And oftentimes we're just coasting at that point.
Yeah. And when things start to feel just less enjoyable generally, right? That even when you do get those things done on your list, that it just feels like nothing, or it feels like you didn't really do anything that day, when in the past, maybe it felt like a sense of accomplishment. Once that starts to go, like, yeah, that's a telltale sign. And to Angel's point about the physical piece, yeah, sleep is wildly important indicator. And also things like noticing you're getting sick more often than you usually do.
Come on.
Right? Like your body will shut down. It is going to look to survive and protect itself. If you don't sit down, your body will sit you down.
Come on.
Sure will.
Hey, hold on. Whenever something is real good said, Natalie, we make the people rewind and repeat that. That's something that needs to be said and said again loudly.
Yeah, if you don't sit down, your body will make you sit down.
Okay. Wow. And you know what? I think about that when you said I'm like totally visualizing this. It may give you one warning. Maybe you're just a little sick, right? Then the next minute, your stomach is aching. I can't digest the food the way I used to. The next minute, man, I fell. I broke my wrist. I mean, it like continues to get worse because I won't
sounds autobiographical.
This sounds really autobiographical, right? I mean, it's serious. I mean, this is like almost like sometimes when you hear these pauses from me is because we do it for the community, but this stuff that we bring, what we're bringing to the community, we're bringing it because we personally are dealing with it as well too.
And Dr. Moutry, you hit something on the head, right? That gut response. When your gut is all over the place, and I'm preaching to myself too, you can't digest stuff or your appetite has changed, right? Your gut is your stress response center. Like we are very primitive. I don't care how much technology we have. We're very primitive people, right? Predator or prey. Yeah. And this might sound a little TMI, but usually there's a job to be done by the predator and there's a job to be done by the prey. If you are under the hunt and you are being chased, one of the very first things you do as a prey is you get rid of your waist, because it does a couple of things. It lightens your load to allow you to be able to run quicker, to increase your likelihood of being able to survive, because you are designed to survive. And then it also slows down your predator because it needs to stop to smell to see if you have any illnesses and if you're even worth the chase.
All right.
So if your gut response is not its baseline, that is a telltale sign, and you cannot ignore it.
So can I just interject? Because I got a question, because I'm trying to think now about how I move, especially during this time. And Angel, you and I kind of had this discussion talking about, the holiday season, the intensity and the other pressures, how anxiety, depression goes up. But now I'm thinking about the pressures that we already have on a day-to-day, but then on this holiday season, other things that come with that. How do you tell people to not do the stuff that they have to do by still telling them to take care of themselves? It's almost like I feel like I'm contradicting when I tell people something. How do we rationalize that? How do we somehow make sense of that?
Sir, they don't have to be on opposite ends of the spectrum.
Okay.
If you have a responsibility to host your family during the holidays, are you hosting them, or are you hosting them with intentionality? What kind of intentionality are you putting behind the tasks that you've assigned yourself? Because when you start to tap into intentionality, it forces you to go at a slower pace, because now you're being very thoughtful about the things that you're doing. If you are the family member that's the one that's preparing the meals, are you just preparing the meals, or are you engaging in mindfulness as you're preparing the meals? Are you paying attention to each ingredient that you're putting in? Are you cultivating that? Are you nurturing that experience? Are you using that particular moment in time to dig into your mindfulness approach?
Wow.
They don't have to be separate from one another. There's the thing that you do to integrate what we call quote unquote self-care in all of the things that we do. And that's something that has been a life lesson for me.
Yeah,
I love that integration. It's like you said, they don't have to be two different things. You can do one while still doing self-care in the midst of loving for others. No, I love that.
Well, and you use the word doing things intentionally. And I think about also sometimes are we doing things grudgingly? And I think when we begin to think about that, and yes, I'm talking to myself too, I am. But when you begin to think about, like, am I doing it just because people are expecting me to do it? They're used to me doing it. I feel guilty if I don't do it. Like, when you start to feel like that, how do you begin to, as we talk about, unrobe that S and be okay with it?
Yeah, well, so much of it is about being able to prioritize, what does really matter? It's because it's not just the task getting done.
Yeah.
It's what about it, right? Like, is it the feeling that you get from being able to help somebody? Is it the practice, as Angel was saying, all right, if we're preparing all these meals for dinner, is it the fact that you're doing it with a relative in the room that you haven't connected with in a while, right? Being able to actually engage in something with your hands and feel that connection with your body, like any of those things. Like, we can be far more precise and intentional about like what we actually want to get out of any of these things. And even to bring it back to the whole superhero analogy, even Batman's just dealing with Gotham. He's not going to Jersey City. He's not going to Miami. He's not worried about that.
Yes.
Right? You focus with intention on specifically where you feel like your superpowers are made for, and the ones that you actually want to breathe life into in that moment. You get to decide that.
Yeah.
Man, I love that. I just want to take a pause for the cause and let the listening audience know, if you have a question or a comment for Natalie or Angel, you feel free to call at 414-444-5250 or 5253. Again, that's 414-444-5250. And the only reason I say that is because I got on my Ray-Ban glasses where I can do my taping and stuff like that. But when the message come in, I'm getting all these messages in my ear. Tell them they fire. Tell them, intentionality. I'm like, hey, y'all can call in and ask some questions too. But the people are loving the information that you're giving, because it's practical and it's real. And I think when I look at this, I'm looking like, sometimes we give information that's practical, but I'll be like, man, this is a real season. We look like, man, these premiums about to be cut off. We understood what happened with the SNAP benefits not too long ago. We seeing like the real wear and tear of financial concerns and strains. We seeing the different things. Like, I'm looking at like what's going on with ICE And that reminds me of every Black mother when her son goes out, like, with ICE, you like, are they going to come back today? And so when we talk about just these other real life pressures that you really can't control, but you have to deal, how do you all deal? And I'm asking sincerely, like, how do you all deal with that extra pressure that's put up on you?
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up because I've been thinking about this a lot. And this is actually one of the reasons why we host the retreats every year. Because there's always something happening in the background, whether it's on the headlines or not. And to your point, our communities are always under attack. And with these things happening in the headlines and garnering more attention, what it really boils down to is it's really forcing us to get back to the basics, which is our village mentality, right? The amount of communities that are really surrounding each other, protecting each other, thinking with an other lens and not a me lens. How can I help you? And in response, it's a reciprocal relationship. It really is challenging this Western notion of individuality.
Yeah.
I was just talking to you about that. We were literally talking about
go
that.
ahead and say what you literally just said on the way here.
No, I was just like, we talk about like, when your child is 18, you say, get out the house, be grown, live on your own and things of that nature. I was like, my children, they ain't never got to leave if they don't want to. I think we got to normalize, again, everybody being in the house. And that doesn't mean you get to be a lazy bum. You can't be responsible. You still have to be responsible. But it's here. And just like in all, like, honestly, we were talking about our mom. She has this beautiful house, but she's by herself. And I'm like, there's no reason she shouldn't be living with one of us. Like, we shouldn't be together. It's like we've adapted and assimilated into this Eurocentric society so much that we've lost some of the village, some of the protection, and some of that protection comes financially, but I think a lot of it comes emotionally. When we talk about this season and so many people going through these times of loneliness, of sadness, and I think that's because we've lost that level of community. So to be able to return back, and that's that whole Sankofa, how can we return and go get those things that are innate to us that help benefit us? So let me ask all three of you this, and this is a question I have. Natalie, I'm gonna start with you because you all are kind of like three different stages in your life. But like when you talk about like the men in your life, whether it's like a romantic partner or whether it's a brother, whether it's a cousin or brother, what are some of the things where you say, I wish our men knew this, or these are some good things the men have done, I wish more would do this, or these some things I do, don't do that. Don't do that.
Well, I think the one that immediately comes to mind is like how important their joy is to us. I cannot stress enough how, as I've gotten a little bit older through my life and getting into my career and just in life in general and meeting new people in different spaces, is how much men being happy and joyful and almost childlike is incredibly powerful to themselves and their community and everyone they interact with. Right. And so much of these pressures that we've spoken about, like really extract that and take that away and say it's not okay. And that in itself, you can see is so draining. The mask that they feel like they need to put on, for one, as Angel's mentioned before, for protection and survival in a lot of ways. But joy, and I've been lucky enough that throughout my life, the vast majority of men throughout my life, my family, friends, peers, whoever, the folks that I am closest with are joyful men. They enjoy life. And it's incredibly powerful to have that.
I'm taking my notes. Dr. Angel. Thank you, Natalie.
Yeah, I so appreciate that, Natalie. And actually, I'm going to space of vulnerability here and transparency. That just pierced me through my heart because there are times where my spouse is like joking around when I'm like in a serious mode and I instantly try to shut it down. I am going to commit on air to not do that.
That's beautiful.
That's what this show is about right here. We all learn.
Yeah, like I can't be his stumbling block when it comes to expressing his joy when he does. I think about the men in my life, and the word that comes up to me is present. Being present. Your presence matters. Even if we're sitting in a room together and we're not exchanging any words, your presence is felt, it matters, and it's necessary.
Mm. All right, Dr. Moutry, we're gonna go to you before we go to our next break. So
Okay. Oh my goodness. I was gonna say maybe anticipating before the need is there. Like
mm,
what I need from a brother or what I need from somebody, not just a brother, but anybody in my life. Like there's sometimes I may be thirsty. Don't wait till I'm parched all the way. Maybe go ahead and hand me the water right away. Or if you know that I've been doing so many different things, or that if you know the woman in your life is doing things all the time, I don't mean to just look at you like that, Jermaine, but you just happen to be right there.
Yeah.
But I'm
that's
just
you,
saying,
wide out.
you know, don't. Sometimes you shouldn't have to ask.
Yeah.
Why can't it just be done? Why do I have to ask? Sometimes, as me being the woman I am, sometimes I'm not even going to ask.
Right.
I would love the help, but I'm just not going to ask. And that's like something that I have to work on because I should be able to ask for help. But it sure would be
You should
nice.
know.
Yeah, but you should know. But people aren't mind readers. So
Yeah.
I think what I would love is that if people could just anticipate some needs versus just waiting for somebody to ask.
Right.
That would be
Well,
something.
now I feel like I'm in a therapy.
Yeah, because she actually hit it on the spot, and I just pictured it. It's almost like seeing somebody that has their hands full. You got a bunch of stuff in your hand.
You just got to
and
know.
you see
Open the
that I'm
door and pick
struggling,
out the bag.
and you just standing there and not
She got
open
that.
the door.
She
Yeah,
good.
it's like
Because she
you know,
got the cape on.
But
But I was about to say, Kweku, you hit the nail on the head. But those of us who wear the cape, we quick to say, "Nah, I got it."
I'm
Literally struggling and be like,
on.
"Nah, I got this. I don't need your help."
yeah.
Mm.
Hey, listen, wait. I said, this
Hey,
is
that's
what you
good.
get on
That's
the
good
stuff. Good stuff.
Nyumba Upendo. Hey, man, that's why I was so excited today. I knew this was coming. Hey, listen, we're going to come back, but we're going to be heavy on the other end. So keep listening. We're going to do a recap, and we're going to give you what we always do. We're going to give you action items, and most important, we're going to give you love. You listening to the House of Love. Nyumba Upendo, WNOV, 860 AM. We'll see you on the other side.
You're listening to Nyumba Upendo. That just means the house of love. And guess what? We are bringing love to the community. We are today joined by Dr. LeJay and Dr. Brutus. And we have been talking a lot about that S on the chest. You know, a lot of times, especially African-American women, not saying that men don't do it as well, but we've been talking about how we have that S on our backs. And we try to do and be super person for everyone in our lives. And so we've been talking a lot about that. And as we have always done in the tradition of our show, we not only just bring information, but we always want to make sure that we leave with strategies, recommendations. So in case somebody, like we started the show off, we said sometimes as a superhero, we put the S on, but those superheroes, they actually often take them off. But we've got some listeners, maybe even folks sitting in this room that say, you know what, the S is weighing me down. I know based upon what you've told me, my personality is different. I'm more exhausted. I can't sleep well. I want you to both to give maybe some strategies, some thoughts, some tips, just to help the audience members to say, it's time for me to take it off. I can't wear this right now. What would you recommend for folks maybe beginning to think about taking that cape off and being okay with it?
Yeah, I think the first thing that comes to mind when I'm working with high performers and particularly high performing Black women is asking them the question to engage in kind of a deep reflection activity for themselves and ask themselves, why is it important for me to perform well? And if their first answer is something that's related to other people, I tell them to start over. Not because it's bad to want to care for others or be somebody who's a supporter or helper or healer for other people, but it can't be the first thing. It has to be something that's specific to you as a human being, something that's constant within your life, right? And so whether that's something to where I want to show my younger self that I can do it, right? I want to show myself that I'm capable of doing challenging things, whatever that answer may be. Yeah. I need it to be something that's specific to you, because in many instances, as we were talking about irritability before, those other folks will run you ragged at some point. And so it's very important to be first thinking about why you do it for yourself. And then we have a better ability to then support the folks around us too.
I love it. Dr. Brutus, you want to add?
Yeah, I think about the communal aspects of liberation psychology. And we are a people who are designed to not live on an island, to not live in isolation. We are community. And so, Natalie knows this, the things that we do in terms of like leadership training and all this other stuff, it's centered around the Zulu philosophy of Ubuntu. I am because we are. And so that philosophy starts with the I statement. And if that's the case, to Natalie's point, there's a lot of redirection to self first, and not from a selfish lens, but from a capacity building lens, because we operate in community. So some of the things that I do with a lot of clientele and even friends and colleagues, because we've created that space for us to like be that with alongside colleagues who do this work as well. That's the reason why that HEAL acronym was designed and developed, right? So it's honoring self. What are some of the things that I am doing to honor myself? Tangible things, as Natalie has mentioned. What are some of the things that I'm doing to engage with myself? Because we can find ourselves moving through day to day and never stop for 1 second to really check in with ourselves.
Right.
When we think about engagement, we tend to think about our encounters with other people outside of ourselves. And then the A in HEAL, affirm. What am I doing that is affirming myself? And if my identity is affirmed by all of these external things, then I need a reassessment. And then the L, what are some of the things that I'm doing to learn more about myself? Because I am not the same person that I was 10 years ago. I am not the same person that I was 5 years ago. Lo and behold, after all the stuff that's been thrown at me personally this week, I'm not even the same person I was 2 weeks ago. Right? And so giving ourselves permission to understand that this is an iterative process, that we are always growing. And that is the acronym of HEAL. And that is what I present to everyone that I encounter and engage with. because it matters.
Yeah. I love it. So I'm thinking about this acronym. So once I honor myself, I engage myself with myself, I affirm myself, and then I learn more about myself. My question to you then is, how do I go about having conversations, honest conversations with my family, with my church members, my coworkers? Because while I'm learning about myself, how do I go about communicating that with others?
Yeah. And so now you're inviting them into the conversation, right? So just as much as I just presented it to you all for the first time here, now I can go have a conversation with Kweku and say, sir, what are some things that you did to honor yourself today?
Mm.
How can I best honor you? Because now that I've done that work for me, now I have the capacity and the overflow to also engage in that with you. So I can journey alongside you in this process. Because it's an invitation.
I love that. Now,
It's not I'm not dictating. I'm not trying to be pious. I'm not trying to see myself higher than you are. What I am doing is inviting you into this process. So now we are co-regulating with one another because we all know the benefits of co-regulation of space.
And one of the most beautiful parts about that is that we now get to be better at seeing each other's gifts too. Once we're able to see ours, we can start to see it even more clearly in other people. And that, when we think about community, when we think about mutual aid and feeling not so isolated, like that is where the power really lies.
I love that. Because then I love that because then we, like you said, we're able to see the gifts in others. Then maybe that will help me to take my cape off because I know that other folks are capable as well to do some of the things.
And even if you do have on the cape, now you've assembled your Avengers.
Absolutely. I love that. I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh my goodness. And so speaking of that Avenger now, I got to go there. Like, so then what role, because I would be remiss not to say this. I've got all these licensed therapists in the room. How does like the role of therapy and counseling play into helping people, unlearn this belief that they don't have time to rest or they can't rest or have permission to take that S off?
Yeah, I'm going to be real quick with this. I give credit to another colleague for putting this on my radar, and I say it quite often. You don't have to be sick to get better.
Oh, say that again. Woo.
Right? You have a heart. It's one thing.
I mean, literally, say that again. Oh.
Okay, you don't have to be sick to get better. Right? When we think about our vehicles that we drive, we don't just put gas in it. We got to take it in for maintenance. And we take it in for maintenance before something goes wrong.
That's one of my favorite scenes in Black Panther when he comes back to Wakanda and he was like, no, the Okoyo beads, they work fine. She said, just because something is good doesn't mean it can't be improved. So when we talk about that superhero theme, I'm all with y'all. I was watching in anticipation of the show, I rewatched Becoming on Netflix with Michelle Obama. And it was a book I bought my sister. I went to APA and this lady, Dr. Shorter Gooden, was here. It was called Shifting. And I keep hearing that ING on these words, shifting, becoming, and it goes into everything you were saying as far as like, I'm continually growing and changing. Can you kind of like speak to that point with people to let them know where I'm at today does not mean this is where I have to be tomorrow. And I do give myself permission to grow. And even outside of the box that some people may want to keep me in.
Ooh, well said. Yeah, I think being able to see a sense of hope about your ability to make change is so powerful. All right. And being able to see that whether it's challenging times or difficult emotions, that these things are all temporary. Right. But also even the things on the positive side of life, joy, pleasure, all of these things are also temporary too, which is all the more reason to protect it. Right. And to feed into it and to really tend to that. And appreciate it for what it is. And so that's the same deal with the parts of yourself that when we're just overworking and doing too much and whatever it is, that we aren't honoring. We aren't protecting. We may think we're utilizing those skills, but we're really not in a real way.
Yeah. No.
Listen, I'm looking at my man, and I know our time is taken because Al Sharpton come on right after us. And when he come on. I want you to give me a 30-second gem as far as saying, hey, this is what you want the people to remember from the show. All of the things you talked about. It could be something you want to repeat or something new, but it's for the people.
Yeah, I'll make it really quick. So those two books that you mentioned, and they have the ING at the end, that means take action. Don't be passive. You get one life. Don't be passive with it. So be intentional.
Yep. Protect and honor your gifts. Period. Point blank.
Look at that. I said
That's
short and sweet. Usually people be going on, but man, that's something for parsimony with professionals coming in and seeing what they're doing. Dr. Moutry, I'm gonna give you the final words before we kick it to shopping.
Yeah, no, first of all, I just like to thank both of you for
Yes.
spending time with us and sharing
We
with the
honor
community.
you for honoring us with your time.
Yeah, sharing it with us, but not only just the community, but us. And again, as you talked about, Dr. Brutus, Dr. LaJoy, when you talk, you learn and you heal yourself as well, too. So I saw some of your head nodding, and I just like to just thank everybody for everything they've contributed. It's okay not to have the S on your back. It's okay to take care of yourself. We love you, Milwaukee. You are listening to the Nyumba Upendo, 860 AM, 106.5 FM. Know that we love you, Milwaukee. See you next week.